Hi, and welcome to the Law Center videocast. I'm Larry DeMarco, your host and founder of the Law Center, home of the Family Court Custody Boot Camp, revolutionizing family court for self-represented litigants. Thank you for joining us today. Subscribe to the channel, like, share, and comment, which will enable more people to learn from the Law Center videos. Today, we are here with Bill Corbitt, the CEO and visionary behind Veteran Fathers, a renowned 501c3 nonprofit. Bill, thanks for being a guest on the Law Center videocast.
Oh, thank you for having me, Larry. I love all your videos. You do awesome work.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that. And Bill, please tell us, why are you passionate about your work at your nonprofit?
I never thought I'd be here in the first place, but going through a bad divorce and getting hit with the silver bullet tactic and everything like that, I realized I had walked into a script in which they were following a predetermined script. I affectionately call it an ambush, and I walked face first into it. I was totally unaware of family court proceedings, and being a former federal agent, I didn't understand family court at all. So I decided to get with a group of veterans, hence the name Veteran Fathers, and we decided to do something about it.
So tell us about your work with Veterans Fathers. What do you guys do?
We do two things within Veteran Fathers. One, our primary mission is lawfare, legal warfare. Nothing is holding the judges, attorneys, and officers of the court accountable for what they're doing to families. So we'll look at civil proceedings against them as individuals. The second swim lane is our primary swim lane right now going forward, and that's Daddy's House. That's on daddy'shouseshelter.com. And that's a DV shelter for men, fathers, and their children. Currently in the United States, women have 2,000 DV shelters. Men only have 2. There's none east of the Mississippi and none on the eastern seaboard at all. So hopefully we'll get the main headquarters for Daddy's House set up here in Atlanta.
So let me ask you about both. Tell me about the lawfare first. Are you coaching individuals and helping them get through things like the silver bullet, which of course is a fault for those who don't know, which is a false allegation of domestic abuse or some type of abuse? Silver bullet because you lose everything just by making the allegation. So are you more policy focused on changing laws and holding judges and lawyers accountable globally, or is it a one-on-one type of thing?
Wow, that's a really good question. So the first thing to focus on is, and everybody needs to be clear about this, we're not attorneys. We don't pretend to be attorneys. We don't offer any legal advice. The only thing we do is we guide them through the process. We help them understand what they're going to be facing. We consult with them and offer them options that they can proceed along, but we also remind them to always contact and work with their attorneys if they're represented. Okay, so I need to make that very clear from the start.
So you're like buddies, like you have contact information in the description portion of this video, and you're going to give it later in the show. But the idea is people can reach out to you who have questions or are struggling with their lawyers, and then you give kind of your layperson feedback advice so people aren't alone. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. It's if you look at it this way, and we just ran into an instance like this where it's apparent to us family law attorneys are laser focused on family law. They don't want to look into criminal proceedings. And through working with a veteran father, very well known, very prominent veteran father, we basically helped him identify criminal conduct from his ex-spouse. And from that, we helped him do a very articulate write-up for his attorneys to review. The feedback initially, from my understanding from his attorneys, his family law attorneys, were, oh, we didn't look at it that way. And that's what fathers need to understand is you may be going through family law, you may be stuck in the family law proceedings, but because of the conduct of an ex-spouse, it may also be civil or criminal. But family law attorneys, and it's just my opinion, are so laser focused on family law, and they'll tell you that's not our specialty. Criminal is not our specialty. Civil is not our specialty. But that's where the family law attorney needs to take a step back and say, hey, we need help with this. Let me consult with another attorney who specializes in this, engage with them, bring them in and ask their opinion. But also, too, fathers need to understand there's criminal intent. You feel it meets the criminal criteria. It meets what we call the elements of proof within the criminal proceedings, and they're actually listed in law. You have to do these things to make sure this criteria under criminal or civil law is met. Otherwise, the judge won't hear it, or they just won't consider it serious. So we basically walk through that process. And here's a good reminder: you can still file the criminal complaint. Now, this is something that everybody that files a criminal complaint needs to understand, and we hear this often. We filed a criminal complaint, but they didn't do anything. Prosecutors, both on the state and federal level, has what's called prosecutorial discretion. They can pick and choose their cases. They can say, yeah, I'll proceed with this case, or no, I'm not interested in it. Unfortunately, that's the case. They have that ability to decide what cases they want to proceed with or not. But that causes you to build a strong case to where when they look at it, they can't walk away from it. You basically painted them into the corner by law. So you have to keep all this in mind. It's a process. It's a process you have to go through. You have to learn the vernacular. You have to learn the process, and you have to cooperate within that process.
And also, we can let the listeners know, at least in Pennsylvania, if a prosecutor doesn't take something, you still have the option of potentially doing a private criminal complaint. And this is state by state. I believe every state does have that available, and there's different ways to get that started. But Bill, your comments lead me to ask you two questions. The first one is, do you have to be a veteran to get the help from veteran fathers?
No. And it seems to be a bit confusing, and I apologize for that. So if you look at this like a business, okay, there's a lot of tax credits and breaks we give for being a veteran 501c. So you have to separate business versus emotion. The other aspect you need to take a look at, it was founded by veteran fathers. So we just assume the name, veteran fathers. When you take a look at everything we do, the laws don't say this law is for veteran fathers, this law is for fathers, this law is for mothers, this law is for veteran mothers. It's the law. Okay, it's the law. We help fathers, whether you're a veteran or not. We've helped mothers, okay, through the court system. We have mothers working with us in veteran fathers. So if you take a look and go, oh, there's for veteran fathers, one, you don't understand business. Number two, you're not taking a look at the law and how the law is being applied and written by its original construct. And number three, it's just a name.
So you answered my other good.
Veteran fathers.
Right.
Yeah, veteran fathers started it, so it's veteran fathers.
Sure. So you answered my other question. Would you also help women as well? And you did say yes. So how did you get?
Because the enemy is the courts. The enemy is the courts. The enemy is not gender. The enemy is the courts. And that's what everybody needs to focus on is, and there seems to be a breakout of, well, it's men against women. No, the enemy is the courts. That's why you feel it's men against women. What is wrong is not the law. The laws are written fair. Read them. The laws are written fair. What's wrong is the administration of the law is unfair. There's a difference. So the law is fair. The administration of the law is improper. That's what we're fighting, is the improper administration of law.
So you mentioned you're swimming down two lanes. We did cover the first. Now let's talk about Daddy's House. And two things. I think you said that there's only two domestic violence shelters and Daddy's House. Are you actually housing people, men who are victims of domestic abuse?
Right now, Daddy's House is informed. We're looking to get it started and get it built. Second is there will be opportunities for fathers to come in to enjoy both temporary housing. Okay. And then we will look at housing placement after that. It works and operates like a normal DV shelter. We'll offer everything a typical DV shelter has when we're up and operating. The difference is, and the laws are very clear on this, for gender specific counseling, treatment, help, assistance, childcare as it relates to men and father. Okay. And the laws are very clear on this. You have to do this. So that's where, when we look at Daddy's House, this is somewhere men can go. It's a safe area for men and fathers and children, okay? And about the gender. This is about the child. Let me be very clear on that. When you have a victim of domestic violence, the only individual who suffers long-term ramifications is the victim, sure, but the child suffers inordinately, because the child does not understand what the victim is going through. And I don't believe the child should ever understand that. I believe in protecting children. So when you look at a DV shelter specifically set up and designed according to the laws that are focused towards men, fathers, and their children. You're actually looking at supporting children. That's what it boils down to, is the child.
And the laws have to support both genders equally,
Equally.
not just fathers, not just mothers, but it's
That's correct.
an equal protection type issue. So how did you get involved in this type of work?
Uh, I I got really tired of nothing being done. We took a look. So we spent 4 years doing research prior to this, tens of thousands of hours were poured into this, just doing research. And we looked at everything being done, broad spectrum throughout the globe. And we looked at all the movements. We spent a year tapping in all the social media feeds through pseudonyms and just educating ourselves. So this is 4 years in the making. And what we come up with is men are doing everything except one thing, litigating. Men are not litigating. When we looked at the data, women have been litigating successfully for over 60 years.
Now,
I think
just
it's
to
like
clarify,
65 years.
of course, there's men and women both litigating in family court, but you're talking about men's rights issues and more
Yes.
policy on a
Yes.
wide scale.
Right. So then we took a look at what the results of their litigation did. What is a ripple? You drop a rock in a pond, there's a ripple. There's everything that comes out of litigation. Prior to litigation, successfully, and God bless the women for doing it, they built our wheel for us. We're just using their wheel. Is that resulted in changes in legislation. Voting really didn't do much for women. It gave them the rights to vote, okay. But what significant changes in legislation and rights for women all resulted, 100% resulted from successful litigation. So they sued, they won. The lawmakers now said, we don't want to get sued again, baby. That costs us too much money. We're going to start changing and adapting laws. And that changed everything going forward for women. Men have done nothing. We're the only organization focused on that.
So women will say, or feminists will say, that we were litigating for equality. And you just mentioned this gross imbalance in domestic violence shelters. There's only 2 for men. So what do men need to litigate? Where are they being shortchanged? I would say child support is excessively high, and that there's problems with fundings. What are you focused on?
So we're focused on the proper application of law. So, for instance, if the father feels he was ruled unfairly, we will help that father build a case to determine whether it's a violation of law or civil rights. Okay. And then through our sources and our vetted contact list, we'll see if there's an attorney or law firm in that area we can make a direct referral to. We don't publish this list, but we keep it in-house because we take a lot of time maintaining that list and making sure we make good referrals. Some states we have no good referrals in, to be honest with you, because we haven't established that level of trust that they'll get good aggressive proceedings for their rights and identifying what legal processes need to occur. So we keep that list very tight hold. When we look at what is happening, broad spectrum, this is a global pandemic. So if your listeners are in the United States or North America, you're not the only ones. We hear from, I have an international feed, and it's from India, Australia, the UK, Ireland, Scotland, Canada, Brazil, Argentina, Japan. It's all over the globe. And the reason why is they watch America. And if American laws change, it ripples across the globe. So if you want substantive change to the rest of the fathers that may be internationally plugging into your feed, understand if it doesn't, and this is historical record, okay? So I'm not speaking out of my ear. This is a historical record. If you want change in your country, it has to change in America, because your country watches the American Family Court and Child Custody proceedings. They will change if it changes in America. It doesn't change in America, they won't change.
So let me just address women who are watching who may have been victimized in family court and think, gee, men are being crybabies with this. You know, really, it's all against women. It's not against men. I mentioned something about child support, and I will link a video to show how payors, which are mostly men, have the guidelines are set too high, which creates a hardship to men. The second thing I want to point is statistics by National Parent Organization, which suggests that when a primary custodian is selected by the courts, 5 out of 6 times it's the woman get sole custody, which is more of an antiquated tender years doctrine type of way of looking at things, which is less the case now. There's men are more 50-50. Are there any other ways that you are saying that the things are unfair to men?
Yeah, and I'm glad you pointed that out, and it was very articulate explanation for that as well. The research is now coming out where they're acting according to the guidelines of a 1970s tender years doctrine model. Every attorney, and I've interviewed a lot of family law attorneys, okay, they all say this is antiquated. It needs to change, but no change is substantive, no change is occurring. And that's because lawfare is not being waged. These judges are not being held accountable. The state's not being sued. Officers of the court that violate rights or law are not being, sent to prison. I hold a very strong stance on that, because if me as a private citizen violates the law, I'm going to prison. A judge, attorney, officer of the court, the laws do not stipulate in any law ever written, oh, if you're a judge, you're immune from the law. If you're a cop, you're immune from the law. And I used to be a Leo. Okay. So let me be very clear on this. And if you're an officer of the court, you're mandated by federal law to report in writing to the state's attorney general, as well as the United States Attorney General's office, you witnessed a violation of law in court during court proceedings. And you have to put it in writing. You have to submit it. If you don't, you broke a federal law. Put them in jail.
What irritates
put a father in jail? Put him in jail.
Sure. On this issue, what would bother me about it is the numerous false allegations that are levied against men, I suppose. What specifically is eating at your craw, or what is your what's your main focus, the veteran father's main focus of legal violations that you see?
Sure. And I say this a lot. Men need guaranteed protections under existing legislation that's immediately enforceable. And let me explain this. If a false allegation against anybody, man or woman, is levied and the allegation has been determined to be false, there's no need to go through additional court proceedings for contempt or perjury and nothing like that. The courts have already looked at it. It's determined to be false. Go to jail. Minimum 5 years. Now, that's my personal belief, but that's where the improper administration of law is being done. There's very few cases in which the individual is prosecuted for perjury. Very few district attorneys want to pursue with contempt charges. And what's most important, if the judge on the bench, I'm going to contact the district attorney's office and recommend proceedings for perjury and contempt in this family law case. And as I've said before, I've never heard of that occurring, especially in family court child custody proceedings. But the judges have in their proceedings, during the proceeding actually, to look at whoever they believe is in contempt or committing perjury on the witness stand under oath to say, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to make a direct referral to the district attorney's office. He can look at the bailiff and say, bailiff, get the district attorney or district attorney and notify them, I'm going to refer you over. And that needs to be done, but it's not being administered correctly, because what judges do is they look at it like it's a different proceeding, like it's no big deal, but they don't understand the financial, mental, emotional, as well as the impact to the child. So for a judge not to rule that way, but then rule, I'm ruling in best interest of the child, you just lied in court.
And it's family court where the judges aren't enforcing.
Yeah, it's family court where the judges aren't enforcing that, because, and this is where I get angry almost when a judge says I'm ruling in best interest of the child, or makes his ruling or justifies the ruling saying best interest of the child, but you destroyed a parent in your proceedings. I'm sorry, judge, you violated federal law. Go to jail. Get your immunity stripped and now proceed against civil proceedings. Because when you look at law, the law is about doing the right thing for the people. That's why laws are written, and to restrain the constructs and activity of government. The Department of Justice is government. Therefore, if the constraint box our legislatures have built, the walls of that box are being breached because government is not administrating the law correctly according to its original intent, we now have a problem. Now, there's case law that gets involved. And case law comes in, and all the case law I've looked at supports everything I'm saying. There's substantive higher court rulings that say things like, you're a judge. Your job is to know the law. California ruling. it says specifically, you should also pay attention to the change in society. What? I have to know the law because that's my job. Okay, that's my higher court rulings already said that. And I have to understand the change in society. Well, we left the Duluth model. We're in the tender years doctrine from the 70s. This is 21st century. That's 19th century crap.
I was going to ask you what changes in the law need to happen, fix family court or to protect fathers and veterans. But Bill, what you're saying is what we need is just to enforce the laws that are out there.
The first step.
Unfortunately, the camera was on me, but Bill, I saw you do the touchdown. You were doing the touchdown. Now it's on you.
I was doing touchdown, baby. That's 6 points right there, and I'm going to kick it in for the extra point. I'm going to run it in for the 2 points here.
So let me ask you though: is there a law that you'd like to see changed, or the laws that you were talking about, the litigation, you want to see laws enforced? Which is there something that you want enacted?
Yes, I would like to see the judicial review boards that review what judges do in their court. They receive complaints from either attorneys, law firms, or the general public about a judge's conduct. I would like to see that privatized. I really would. I would like to see I would like to see a body of private citizens formed in which it could be a body of 5 to 7 private citizens that have oversight and guidance from attorney, okay, that investigate these complaints and make a ruling, including if their ruling is to strip the judge of judicial immunity. What you have is you have an accountability model. That's an accountability model. But you have private citizens not affiliated with the judiciary, not affiliated with law enforcement, and not affiliated with the Department of Justice, taking a look at the construct of the law and how it was administered. The only way legally you can proceed to get someone whole from damages, first step, civil proceeding. But right now, judges are not in fear, and it has to be fear. I'm sorry, it does. That if they rule unfairly, I may get sued as an individual. Well, they got bonds. They got everything they need. They got malpractice insurance and everything else to help them. But the complication comes in, it is a protection model. It is. Otherwise, there'd be more judges in prison.
Sure. And right now, as the law stands, judges are actually shielded from not only immunity from lawsuit, but for what was called malicious and corrupt orders. They have what's called absolute immunity. What I believe that we're asking for, because I'm lockstep with you, is we want to remove that malicious and corrupt immunity from the types of orders that are considered outside a judge's authority when there's some type of personal animus or a bribery or something that's clearly corrupt and done with an intent to be unfair.
Correct, including if the judge has ruled in several cases that their rulings are now substantively abusive and neglectful and unlawful. You now are looking at criminal intent. That's exactly what this is. I mean, if you talk to any crook on the street, let's break it down this way. Let's break it down real street sense. Talk to a crook on the street and go, I want you to rob that bank. After you rob that bank, I want you to bring me all the money. He's going to go, wait a minute, let me get it straight. I'm going to go rob the bank, but I give you all the money and I got all the risk and I'm going to go to prison. That ain't going to happen. Why would a judge violate the law?
Risk of consequences.
No risk of consequences. Right. Exactly. Break the law. What are you going to do to me? What are you going to do to me? That's where my proposal is stepping in with private entities, private citizens having direct oversight to this with enforcement power. Otherwise, it has no teeth. We now strip away the protection model, and we now have a model where we can hold accountability with direct oversight from the legal. Okay. Now, here's a for instance. What if this oversight body, all private citizens, now comes up and says, yeah, it needs to be stripped of judicial immunity. Here's why, blah, blah, blah. But the oversight from the legal community, the attorney, according to the law, we can't do that. You can't make that recommendation. That's why they're there to do that. As private citizens, they say, yep, here's what needs to happen, blah, blah, blah. But the attorneys step in and say, we can't do that. There's no ground in the law to you where there's grounds doing that. That acquires now an administrative proceeding, okay? Judges now face an administrative proceeding, which they can now go, we recommend to the Judicial Review Board, you admonish this judge. It's a matter of record. They can admonish a judge. You did wrong. Don't do that again. Watch you. Okay. That's an administrative proceeding. It doesn't impact the judge. Doesn't have to retire or leave the bench, but he now holds that dark cloud above him. Hey, I've been warned once. I better not do it again. Okay. And a lot of people are in this. I hear it all the time. Oh, you can't sue a judge. I just posted a video a couple of months ago where they just got judicial immunity stripped from a judge. They're going to sue the judge into abject poverty for what the judge did. It was out of West Virginia case, a family law case too. So when people say you can't strip a judge of judicial immunity or absolute immunity, you can, but it's a process. You can do it, but it's a process.
There's also, you can also, judges can be criminally charged as well. Doesn't
Yes.
really happen. It's very rare that it occurs, but technically that's still available. What has been your biggest accomplishment, either personally or Veterans Father?
Personally, my daughter, by far. Veteran fathers, the fact progress so far. So we formed in 22, social media launch April 23. Just in the year, we've gone internet, and it's growing so fast I can hardly keep up with it. So we need volunteers. So if you want to help, by all means, get a hold of me. I'm easy to get a hold of. We need volunteers.
Contact information's coming right around the corner. Just real quick, what are some of your biggest challenges?
Biggest challenges going forward right now, we're so focused on Daddy's House Shelter is Daddy's House Shelter right now. We've laid everything out in a 5, 10, and 20-year model, so we have goals and achievements we're going to make. But getting Daddy's House Shelter funded. So let me explain this. There's 7.5 million single fathers in America. If each father donated $1, it isn't so much the money, it's the message. Each father in America donating $1 to Daddy's House Shelter, a nonprofit shelter. Think of the message that sends to Congress. That's the power. It isn't the money, it's the messaging. If 7.5 million fathers said, you know what, it's only $1. I'm going to donate $1. Oh my God, no, we blew our goal away, but now I can stand in front of Congress and go, look, there's a problem. We're the only organization specifically designed to fix it, and we're coming.
So people can learn more about you. First thing, I want to direct people to the description portion of the video where every link that you provided is there. But verbally, for people who are exercising or folding their laundry while they're listening to you, how can people learn more about you and get in touch with you and Veterans Fathers?
Sure, you can go to the website, veteranfathers.com. You can go to the DV Shelter website, daddy'shouseshelter.com. You can find me on X or Twitter. It's veteranfather_Bill. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, but I'm most active on Twitter, to be honest with you. My DMs are open. You can send me a DM. The website has a Proton mail address. You can click on the Proton mail address, send us a Proton mail if you want. Very easy to get a hold of me.
Bill, thank you for that. We're going to leave it here. And I want to thank you for being a guest on the Law Center videocast.
Man, the pinnacle. I'm on your show, dude.
It's been an honor to have you. We've been here with Bill Corbitt, and I am your host, Larry DeMarco. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and comment. Also, click the notification bell next to subscribe to be alerted of new videos. Check the description portion of this video where you can learn more about Veteran Fathers and our revolutionary family court custody boot camp, which will forever transform child custody court, one self-represented litigant at a time. Signing off. Tune in next time. Bye for now.